In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the tree editor or the command editor in VoxCommando version 0.79. This will be good if you're a new user, but also if you were using an older version and you've upgraded, things are done a little differently. So this should help you out to watch this video. So in our tree editor, we have everything is basically broken down into groups, and groups contain a number of commands, and then the commands are made up of phrases and payloads. I'm going to leave these Vox commands alone. They provide the basic functionality, like to have Vox either listen to you or not listen to you, or to select alternates when there are different commands that you might have said and it's not sure which one. I'll create a new group, and the name of the group is not important in terms of how the command is executed. It used to be. Now you can call it anything you want. It's just a name. However, in future versions, we will be able to turn groups on and off, and we'll probably do that using the name. So you want to use distinct names. You don't want to have two groups that have the same name. So I'll just do that arbitrarily, and I'm going to create a command in this group. Okay, so you can create as many commands as you want in a group. And again, the name is not important of the command. This is for you to understand, to give you an idea of what the command is for when you're organizing things. So I'm going to just call this test on-screen display text-to-speech. So we have basically an empty command now, and what we need to do is have a means to trigger the command, and for that we use a phrase. Generally, any command can be, even if it's complex and made up of many parts, we'll start with a phrase that triggers the command. And this phrase should be, either the phrase should be unique, or at least when you put together the various elements, it should be unique so that VoxCommando knows what you're doing. If you create two different commands and they both are just simple commands with the phrase play, then Vox won't know which one to execute. So you need to provide a way for it to differentiate. And as I said, later we'll be able to turn groups on and off. So you will be able to, let's say when you're running a certain program, you can turn on a group for controlling that program and turn off another group, and that would give context to a command like play, but we haven't implemented that yet. I'm getting off topic here. So we have a command, the name is arbitrary, and we double click the command to edit its actual functionality. But below the command in the tree is where we create our phrases. So I will use the phrase do test to trigger this command. When I say do test, it'll execute the macro, and we can create multi-steps, things that we want to happen when we say that phrase. So I'm going to start with on-screen display, and I'm going to use some TTS to make the computer speak to us. I'll just have her, I'll make her so what should happen is when we say this phrase, do test, it'll trigger this command, which will show on the screen this text and speak aloud this text. I'm going to save and close and restart VoxCommando. Do test.
Test complete.
All right, so now I'm going to show you with the same command we'll make it a little bit more interesting by using a payload. I'm going to change the phrase here to test. Now, by using a comma, our phrase allows us to say either of these two things. I'm going to add a payload list. Whichever one you say will get passed to the command as a variable. So I will just, for fun, I'll go up, down, left, right. And I'll add another payload range. This allows us to say any number from 1 to 10. Okay, I'll just make it 1 to 20 for fun. So what'll happen here is we'll be able to say either the word test or the word try, followed by one of these 4 words, followed by a number from 1 to 20. When we say that, let's say we say test down 4, it'll trigger this command, and it'll pass it the variable down, and it'll pass it the variable 4. But how do we use that? With curly brackets and a number, we represent payload 1. With curly brackets and this number, we represent payload 2. This is payload 1 because it's the first payload, and this is payload 2. I'm going to save, restart, and I'm just going to show you the tree so that it makes sense as we do it. Try down 6.
Moving 6.
Test up 4.
Moving 4.
Ignore me. So maybe it'll be a little bit clearer if I do the same thing for the speech and the on-screen display. Test up 4.
Moving up 4.
Test left 6.
Moving left 6.
Okay, so you can see how these payloads then could be applied to actual commands. So you could trigger a command that actually moves to the left 6 when you say that.